So let's talk about some of the internal structure that the mushrooms have so that they can stand up straight. So the stuffing has a couple of things that if you've knit some of my gnome patterns, you will not be familiar with, and some things you will be familiar with. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to insert a circle into the bottom of the stem. I'm going to be using cardboard today, but if you would like a more durable version or something that is stiffer, you can either use thicker cardboard or you could use like a piece of flat plastic that you cut up. When you are cutting the size of your circle, obviously I've given an amount, but what you're looking to double check is that the width of the circle, the diameter here, is as big as the circle or maybe just a tiny bit more. If it stretches out a little bit, it's just going to help hold it a little better. And I find especially with the gills, it helps things just look better. So I'm just going to insert this into the bottom of the stem. Got all my ends knotted off here so it looks a bit messy. All right, so I'm stretching it here and I'm double checking. Do I think maybe it's a little too big or is it okay? You can see here that the pearl ridge is kind of on the inside of that. So I'm debating whether I want to pull it out and trim it up just a little bit, which I think I will do. When trimming these circles, go really minimal because you're going to want to trim all the way around. So whatever thickness you start with is going to be the thickness doubled. So just don't start with a big amount. Trim hesitantly and cautiously. All right, that's probably enough. It really doesn't need to be a lot. I was just a little bit off. And also your circle doesn't have to be truly circular. Because of the knitting and the stuffing and everything that's going on, we're not looking for perfect geometric shapes here. All right, so the next step in this is to get the pipe cleaner. So the pipe cleaner is longer than the stem is tall. I've gone for about 4 centimeters, 5 centimeters, maybe longer than that, because we're going to curl it. We're going to create a little spiral here, just twisting it around on itself. And we're going to keep going with the spiral until the length of the spiral is just, or the length of the straight bit is just a little bit taller than the line where we knit two together on the sleeve to attach the sleeve to the stem, or if it's easier to think about the line where the gills start. So this is not tall enough. I want it to stick out about like that. So I'm going to unwind it a bit and then I'm going to flatten that spiral out so that the straight line of the pipe cleaner is perpendicular to the spiral. You could also just wind the spiral and then cut it once you're done and see that you're cutting it with about a centimeter, quarter of an inch-ish kind of an amount there. So we'll insert that down into this stem. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pour weighted stuffing in. Weighted stuffing can be poly pellets, that's what I have today. Could be split peas, dried beans, aquarium gravel. You're looking for something with heft to it that will give the very top heavy mushrooms a lower center of gravity. So just pour it in around the pipe cleaner. It will fill up and you'll need to then kind of poke it down and persuade it to go past the pipe cleaner. Don't poke your own hand while doing that. So you are looking for the stem to feel reasonably full and about as wide as the knitted fabric was. Don't stretch the knitted fabric here, just keep it the same size. That is probably too much. We'll see here. And so whatever's too much, you can just kind of pour back into your a little bowl of weighted stuffing. So I'm double checking that I'm down to about that round where we knit two together, and there's a color change there, so that makes it nice and easy to tell what's going on. So we've got that. We want to keep that sort of nice and tidy and tucked in there. So what you can do is get a little bit of fluffy stuffing, and it will be a very little bit, and just sort of pad around the pipe cleaner. You could even sort of make a donut shape of it. Put it down around the pipe cleaner and then just sort of tuck it in, and that will help keep the weighted stuffing in the stem and not come floating up into the cap. So the last step with the architecture with the mushrooms is to take your larger circle, and you are going to have pierced it with, put a hole into it. Don't make like a hole punch size hole. You want it to have some friction when it's going over. So I just put the circle on my table, and where the crack between the leaves of the table was, that's where I used my knitting needle to just push through, and that's a hole about the size of the wire at the center here. So what we're going to do is we're going to insert, this is a little tricky here, we're going to insert the pipe cleaner wire up this hole we've made, and we'll pull it down, and then we can pull the cap of the mushroom around. Double check that we like the placement and that it's about the right size. Things are looking good here on my edge. If you want, you can tuck the ends of your yarn underneath that, but you can also just leave them up because we're going to put fluffy stuffing on. And so as a final thing, just take that pipe cleaner and fold it sideways, and that will kind of anchor things together. So you're going to have something, the flat circle here will give it stability and a good flatness. Then we've got the spiral, which is anchoring the pipe cleaner, and the weighted stuffing is on top of the spiral of the pipe cleaner. The pipe cleaner comes up and goes through the cap circle here, and so the cap circle is also giving us structure here, and it's sort of tying it all together, which is going to give it a flexibility but also a stability, so it will in fact stand. When you stuff the medium mushroom, you will do roughly the same thing, but when you're stuffing the smallest mushroom, instead of doing weighted stuffing in here, you're going to do a spiral and the similar thing where you're going to go through the hole here with paper, but rather than weighted stuffing, what you're going to use is just cut another shorter length of pipe cleaner and stuff it down in here, and it's just enough to hold the shape of the stem without trying to get weighted stuffing into here with the sort of the fluff of the pipe cleaner, adding some resistance and some puffiness in here. It's actually really hard to get weighted stuffing in, and you don't need to have this able to stand on its own because of the way we're going to be securing all of the mushrooms together. This one is going to borrow stability from the other two. So I hope this helps. Happy knitting!